Wow, great. Now we have access to this data set. Congratulations. And as you can see, there's a lot of personal information and personal health information of being patients right now exposed in this data set, which has access to pretty much everyone. Let's see how we will protect this information in Satori from unauthorized users in few minutes without writing a single line of code. So you can see this sample data set, and you will see we will take some actions in Satori to make sure this data set is not available to the peoples who are not authorized to. So let's take a first action item. Step one is basically you create a masking profile. Masking profile is something that will mask the response to the users and avoid exposing a sensitive information. You can create masking profile using these simple sample templates, or you can create using this your own new template by adding a new template. And you can also let's explore what this sample masking profile contains. You click over here, edit, and you see this masking profile is basically contains the data tags and what actions you want Satori to perform when detecting this data set in the user's result set. And you can take whatever the actions you want from this drop down menu. You can hash, you can redact, or you can choose do nothing. Choice is yours. So based on these data tags, you can define what actions you really want Satori to perform on behalf on you. Once you define your masking profile, the step two is creating a security policy. Security policy is basically contains two tabs. You can create your new security policy from here, and you can explore this sample data set, sample security policy. In this sample security policy, it contains two tabs called dynamic masking and data filtering. Dynamic masking is basically applying those masking profile that we have created in step one to the group of users who are not a member of authorized PI and PHI group, and we will see who are the ones who are actually authorized to, and that's how it is simple to create a masking profile. Data filtering is you can create your own filters and choose what users can return the queries based on the authorization contains. So it can provide further filtration on the number of records on top of the dynamic masking. So right now it's not active. Let's activate this policy and make sure this masking profile is active and save it. You can come here in the user directory and see who are the users belongs to PI and PHI data. Right now nobody is part of this group, so technically nobody can access a sensitive information except this sample user that we have created called John Smith. Once you have defined your security policy, the step third and in the action is basically defining your data set. A data set in a very simple language is the data asset that you want to protect. Your data set can be a simple database, can be a whole account, can be multiple accounts, or can be as simple as a single table. You can add databases or data locations using add button. Select the data store that you want, and then select what location that you want to be a part of your data set. So example, you can choose here any databases locations like table, schema, or a database account. So choice is yours. You can always choose this. All right, you can also define your data stewards over here. Data stewards are the one who's going to authorize access to these data sets. So if somebody doesn't have access to these data sets, data stewards will grant access to it. Click on the next tab, user access rules. Access to this data set is being controlled by Satori. Make sure this checkbox is enabled. And by default, everyone has access to this data, which is great. And that's why we were able to access this data earlier. So now we have activated the policy behind the scene. And as you can see, the user is able to access the sensitive information. Now we have default security policies assigned to everyone. And what is this default security policy? Is the policy that we have created in step 2, which is the patient data. And this policy is right now active. We have activated this policy over here. So right now, anybody who's not a member of PI/PHI authorized group cannot see this data. So let's save this. It's active. And now when we execute the query right here, what happens behind the scene is Satori will redact that information from the users. And you see how easy it is to protect this information from a user using Satori without writing a single line of code. In just few minutes, I was able to configure and protect my entire database accounts from unauthorized access users.